Need 5 minutes? Are we ready? All right, thank you. All right, this is CR 0124316665, State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. Defendant is present in custody with counsel, Ms. Taylor, Ms. Massoth, Ms. Barlow. The state is represented by Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, Mr. Hurwitz, Mr. Nye, and Ms. Allen. This is the time set for sentencing in this case. The defendant previously entered a plea of guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. In exchange, the parties stipulated to recommend a sentence consisting of, on burglary, 10 years fixed, on each of the 4 counts of first-degree murder, life fixed. The parties waived pre-sentence investigation. To my understanding, neither party submitted a sentencing memorandum or other materials for the court. The court is familiar with the file and the evidence submitted previously by the parties as it has reviewed them throughout the case and in anticipation of trial. Is there any legal cause why sentence should not be imposed at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Does the state, before impact statements and arguments, wish to present evidence today?
Your Honor, the state does not intend to present evidence in a documentary sense. We have provided the court through the clerk with photographs that we would like to use during the course of our sentencing argument.
Sure. All right.
Thank you.
But no testimony other than impact statements?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. So with that, let's start with then impact statements.
Ms. Jennings will be introducing
And my understanding, just so I'm clear, I indicated through the trial court administrator that we need to see if any of the victims wish to have the camera not running and audio only. And my understanding is all of them indicated they are fine with the video. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
All right, very well. Go ahead, Ms. Jennings.
Your Honor, the first, and we're taking these in the order, victim impact statements in the order that the charges were listed in the indictment. The first charge being burglary. So we will have Bethany Funke's statement, and she has asked that her friend Emily Allant read that statement.
All right, any objection to that? All right, very well.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be speaking on behalf of Bethany, and so, yeah, here it reads. My name is Bethany Funke, and I was roommates with Maddie, Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan. I not only lost some of my best friends, but I also lost a sister. Never in a million years would I have thought that something like this would have happened to my closest friends. I thought that we were going to wake up and go upstairs, see them and tell them how they had scared us and that they were going to tease us about how we are constantly scaredy cats and make jokes about it as we would go to Taco Bell like always. But sadly, that is not what happened and what turned out to be my worst nightmare. When I first woke up that morning, I had no idea what happened. I woke up around 7 with a terrible toothache, so I called my dad, who is a dentist, and he asked what I should do. He told me to take Advil, so I did, and I went back to sleep. I was still out of it and still didn't know what happened. If I had known, I of course would have called 911 right away. I still carry so much regret and guilt for not knowing what had happened and not calling right away, even though I understand it wouldn't have changed anything, not even if the paramedics had been right outside the door. I was so frantic that morning and scared to death, not knowing what had happened. And when I made the 911 call, I couldn't even get out the words. And from then on, I don't remember a thing. It was like my brain wiped that whole memory. That was the worst day of my life. And I know it always will be. While I was still in shock, trying to process the fact that my friends were truly gone, I had been attacked by the public. I was grieving, numb, and unsure of what had happened was even real. And at the same time, I was getting flooded with death threats and hateful messages from people who did not know me at all or know the dynamic of our friendship. Social media made it so much worse, and strangers made up stories to entertain themselves. The media harassed not just me, but also my family. People showed up at our house. They called my phone, my parents' phones, other family members' phones, and we were chased while I was still trying to survive emotionally and grieve the loss of my friends. I hated and still hate that they are gone, but for some reason, I am still here and I got to live. I still think about this every day. Why me? Why did I get to live and not them? For the longest time, I could not even look at their families without feeling sick with guilt. I did not know what to say or what to do. I was terrified that my presence just made their pain worse, and I was still here when their kid, their siblings, and their friends, their loved ones should have been here instead. After everything happened, I was afraid to go into my own backyard or alone in my house. I was scared that the person who did this would come for me next. I was always scared that the media would try to catch me at any moment of any day, even when I was just walking around my house. I made my parents close all the blinds during the day so no one could see me even in the slightest chance. I barely left the house, and when I did, I made sure I was never alone. I slept in my parents' room for almost a year. I made them double lock every door, set an alarm, and still check everywhere in the room just in case someone was hiding. And I still check my room every night before, and I double lock it. I have not slept through a single night since this happened. I constantly wake up in panics, terrified. Someone is breaking in, or someone is here to hurt me, or I'm about to lose someone else that I love. The fear never really leaves. For a long time, I could barely get out of bed, but one day I realized I have to live for them. They did not get the chance to keep living, but I do, and I will not take that for granted. So now every day I remind myself to live for them, and everything I do it with them in mind. I am still scared to go out in public, but I force myself to do things because I know that they would want me to keep living my life to the fullest. I am beyond blessed to still be here, and I refuse to take that for granted when they did not get a chance. Our house was not just a house, it was a home. It was where we laughed till we couldn't breathe, make meals, did crafts, binge watch reality shows, played games, and spent lazy days on the couch. It was movie nights, wine nights, morning debriefs, pranks, hot chocolate, cookies, and warmth. I would cherish those memories forever, and I will not let what happened erase how special our home was or how much those memories meant to me. Now I would like to share some bits and pieces of who they were as people and some of the memories that we shared. One of my favorite memories was Halloween, and we all went to Sigma Chi. But instead of partying, we just sat in an apartment, talking and laughing all night long. I do not think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. We did not care about the party, we were just happy to be with each other. Zana was 1 in a million. She was the life of the party. But she was also the kindest and funniest person I knew. Everyone loved her because she made everyone feel so loved. She was just someone you always wanted to be around, no matter the circumstance. One of my favorite days with Zana was when we laid on the couch together all day, watching movies and snacking. Or when she, Maddie, and I would go and get margaritas, chips, and salsa. She would also light up a room with her presence alone. Kaylee had the most beautiful, radiant smile, and she was so kind, but also one of the funniest people I've ever known. She loved playing little pranks, and she always had us laughing so hard that we could not breathe. She was so full of energy and life. I really believe that she could have ruled the world if she wanted to, and she would have been America's sweetheart. Ethan was the sweetest, most genuine guy. He was always smiling and always making other people smile too. Ethan was the kind of person you wanted around. He was so kind and easy to talk to and just so fun. And the way he cared for Zana was truly something to admire. And really was proof that storybook love and true romances really do exist. It was not only obvious to me, but everyone that was around Ethan and Zana that they were absolute soulmates. Maddie was not only one of my best friends, but she was the older sister I would have always wanted. There was no one I looked up to or admired more than Maddie. She was truly a ray of sunshine, and everyone was drawn to her. She was so kind, loving, funny, fun, and passionate. She had the sweetest soul and wanted nothing but the best for everyone, and to love and show love to everyone. She took me under her wing and always made me feel so safe and included, and above all, loved and valued. She never failed to make me laugh or put a smile on my face. Still to this day, I am beyond grateful that she chose me to be her sorority little, and I thank God every day that I not only got to know her, but had her as one of my best friends. Honestly, I cannot pinpoint one favorite memory with Maddie because I have so many, and this would be a very long read if I did. But if some little memories with her that I cherish is when the two of us made a nice dinner and split some wine, or when we would binge watch Jersey Shore or Summer House. When we came up with a whole dance routine on Halloween and danced and sang all night, like no one was watching. All the late night walks home from going out, and just little shopping trips and so much more. I am beyond blessed that I had the chance to know each and every one of them. They changed my life in ways I would have never put into words. I hope that they are remembered for who they are, not what happened to them, because who they are were so beautiful, and they deserve to be remembered in the highest way. My heart breaks every time I go to text one of them or how badly I wish I could see and hang out with them. And then I remember I cannot. I will never be able to again. But I still talk to them in my prayers every single night, and I always will. I wish more than anything I could hug them one last time and I wish I could tell them how much I love them. And even though I cannot, I still tell them every night. I will keep living for them as long as I am lucky enough to still be here. And they were all truly one of a kind, and they will be in our hearts forever and always.
Thank you, and please convey to Bethany my appreciation for her courage, and I hope that she heals.
Next is Dylan Mortensen. We're asking for some accommodations for Ms. Mortensen and that she be allowed to sit in my seat.
Sure. Dylan, just take your time, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor. What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, 4 beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason. He didn't just take their lives. He took the light they carried into every room. He took away how they made everyone feel safe, loved, and full of joy. He took away the ability for me to tell them that I love them and that I'm so proud of them. He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. He took away birthdays, graduations, celebrations, and all the memories that we were supposed to make. All of it is gone. And all the people who loved them are just left to carry that weight forever. He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home, the people I looked up to and adored more than anyone. He took away my ability to trust the world around me. What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break. I was barely 19 when he did this. We had just celebrated my birthday at the end of September. I should have been figuring out who I was. I should have been having the college experience and starting to establish my future. Instead, I was forced to learn how to survive the unimaginable. I couldn't be alone. I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? Then there are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't stop shaking. All I can do is scream because the emotional pain and the grief is too much to handle. My chest feels like it's caving in. Sometimes I drop to the floor with my heart racing, convinced something is very wrong. It's far beyond anxiety. It's my body reliving everything over and over again. My nervous system never got the message that it is over, and it won't let me forget what he did to them. People call me strong. They say I'm a survivor, but they don't see what my new reality looks like. They don't the hypervigilance, the exhaustion, the way I scan every room I enter, the way I flinch at sudden sounds. They don't know how heavy it is to carry so much pain and still be expected to keep going, and that's because of him. He stole parts of me I may never get back. He took the version of me who didn't constantly ask, what if it happens again? What if next time I don't survive? He may have shattered parts of me, but I'm still putting myself back together. Piece by piece, I'm learning how to live in this new version of life. It is not easy. It hurts, but I'm still trying. Still trying, and I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. About a year ago, I had a dream about them. I got to say goodbye. I told them I won't be able to see you again, so I need to tell you goodbye. They all kept asking why, and all I could say was, I can't tell you, but I have to. When I woke up, I felt shattered and heartbroken, but also strangely grateful. Like maybe in some way that dream gave us the goodbye we never got. Still, no dream can replace them, and no goodbye will ever feel finished. He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing. He tried to take everything from me. My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them, to make them proud. Living is how I honor them. Speaking today is to help me find some sort of justice for them. And I will never let him take that from me. He may have taken so much from me, but he will never get to take my voice. He will never take the memories I had with them. He will never erase the love we shared, the laughs we had, or the way they made me feel seen and whole. Those things are mine. They are sacred, and he will never touch them. I get to feel sadness. I get to feel rage. I get to feel joy even when it's hard. I get to feel love even when it hurts. I get to live. And while I will still live with this pain, at least I get to live my life. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
Dylan, thank you so much for your courage. I appreciate it.
Next, we have members from the Madison Mogen family. First would be Scott Laramie, Madison Mogen's stepfather. Standing by him is Karen Laramie, Madison's mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Scott Laramie. I'm Maddie Mogen's stepfather and the husband of Maddie's mother, Karen Laramie. I will read this victim impact statement on behalf of Karen and myself. Maddie was our gift of life, our purpose, and our hope. Maddie quickly became Karen's joy, identity, and purpose in life. I joined Maddie's life when she was 2.5 years old. The experience transformed me into a life of joy, love, and family. Maddie was bright, beautiful, kind, empathic. She listened carefully to others and was observant, seeing and caring about the hearts and the minds of all she encountered. She loved music and music festivals. She had a wonderful sense of humor. She excelled in school. She was an easy child to raise, almost never requiring discipline, and almost always giving us parental joy. One time Karen remembers disciplining Maddie as a little girl. Maddie responded, "You broke my heart," which of course melted ours. She had a keen wit, even at that young age. As she transitioned into teenage years, she prioritized us and extended family over many of the distractions that capture teenagers. She showered us with her presence and love at family events, barbecues, picnics, birthdays, holidays, and others. She spent countless hours with her papa, her Uncle David, Aunt Nadine, and her other close family and friends. This world was a better place with her in it. As she reached adulthood, Maddie applied her studies to be a marketing professional, entering into an internship at Payne West, and started planning her professional future. As with all things, she involved Karen and myself in the joy of her journey. As she transitioned into womanhood, Karen and I continued to be astounded at this wonderful and accomplished person we had created. All parents dream of their children accomplishing more than them. We realized this dream, all we had not become, she was becoming. Karen and I are ordinary people, but we lived extraordinary lives because we had Maddie. Maddie was taken senselessly and brutally in a sudden act of evil. She was taken along with the young, promising, and bright lives of Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan. First, we felt disbelief. Next, we felt disorientation. Then we felt grief overcome us. Our grief is compounded even more for the Goncalves, Kernodle, and Chapin families. We speak of hope and healing, and we do have hope and some healing. But the vast emotional wound will never fully heal. Since Maddie's loss, there's emptiness in our hearts, home, and family, an endless void. After losing her mother in a car crash, Karen took years to grieve and recover. The feeling that her life with Maddie and Abe was perfect helped her to start to heal. Now, this is no longer perfect. After Maddie's loss, Karen felt like she was spinning out, emotionally collapsing into anxiety and depression. She sometimes asks, "How am I supposed to go on when I've lost my favorite person in the world?" I felt the same, and we continue to struggle. The loss of Maddie has impacted so many beyond our family. Her second family is her sorority sisters who grieve alongside us. She has so many close friends who suffer from her loss. We will continue to be her loss will continue to be felt by the Vandal community, including Vandal Solutions on campus, where she volunteered her time for others. It helps us to know Maddie is in heaven now, freed from the trials of this earth. We, however, continue to live on without the grace and support of her presence. We will grow old without our only child, our bright, beautiful friend and daughter. In the end, there are no words that can accurately capture the devastation of losing Maddie. We will endure, and we will go on. For Maddie, we will not let our grief consume us. For Maddie, we will continue to love and care for our family and friends, including the families of Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan. We will remain united with them. We can only hope that others out there suffering similar losses can look to us and see that we can overcome hatred, darkness, and evil. We know the law allows us to comment on the defendant and his sentence. As for his sentence, we support the plea agreement. Society needs to be protected against this evil. As for the defendant, we will not waste the words, nor will we fall into hatred and bitterness. Evil has many faces, and we now know this, but evil does not deserve our time and attention. We are done being victims. We are taking back our lives. We will turn our time, talents, and attention to hope, healing, and helping others, and to the future. We invite all those who have suffered with us on this to join us in our journey. We can make this world a better place. We can move on from tragedy. Adversity will visit us, evil will visit us, but we will overcome. We can and will endure. Karen and I express our gratitude to Your Honor and to the prosecution team for allowing us the opportunity to make this statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your courage, and I am so sorry for your loss. God bless you.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is Leander James. He's the attorney for the Mogen family and victim advocate. He'll be reading a statement for Karen Laramie.
May it please the court, counsel. My name is Leander James. I am the pro bono counsel for Karen and Scott Laramie. Karen has asked me to read this statement into the record. I thank my husband, Scott, for his statement, his courage, and his unending love and support during this dark time. While words are inadequate to capture the impact of this horrific crime on our family, he expressed it as best anyone could. For Maddie's sake, I will add my supplement statement that incorporates additional impact in the context of my extended family. I am grateful to Maddie's great uncle, Bryan Kohberger, for assisting me with the difficult task of putting our pain into words. For me and my extended family, Maddie was our hope and our light. Her beauty, both outside and in, shone its light upon everyone with whom she came in contact. Her beauty, she carried that hope and light into the future for our entire family. We have memories of our Maddie and grief and pain at her being taken from our presence. Any one of us would have given our own light to have been outshone by hers. We now look to our Creator to know that her light continues where we look to see her in His presence. Those who commit evil for their own twisted gains and purposes truly defile the efforts and sacrifices of mothers, fathers, families, teachers, clergy, public servants, service members, and all those who commit themselves to the greater good, freedoms, and the future light of our nation. Condemnation falls heavily upon those who squandered the lives of our future hopes and dreams. Some may offer forgiveness for what the defendant has done. However, we cannot at this time, or perhaps ever, nor will we ask for mercy for what he has done. His acts are too heinous, the agony and grief he has caused too great. But we will waste no further words or thoughts on him. For Maddie's sake, we will move on. We will do our best to carry Maddie's light into this world and make it a better place. I thank the court and the prosecution for allowing me the opportunity to make my statement, and I thank all those who have and will support my family and the families of Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Laramie. Appreciate it.
Next is Ben Mogen, the father of Maddie Mogen.
Yes, of course.
Actually, Your Honor, it'll be Kim Cheeley, the grandmother of Maddie Mogen.
My name is Kim Cheeley. I was Maddie Mogen's paternal grandmother, as Ben Mogen, her father, is my son. I'm here today with my sister Lori Cheeley, Maddie's great aunt, and my son Ben Mogen, and my daughter-in-law Corey Hatrock. I'd like to begin by thanking a number of people involved in bringing this case to closure. In my daughter's words, the plea deal the prosecution team reached this month is one that punishes the perpetrator of this horrendous crime, protects the public from further harm, and allows all of us who knew and loved these kids the time to grieve without the anxiety of the long and gruesome trial, the years of appeals, and potential for mistrials along the way. My family and I are so grateful to Bill Thompson and his prosecution team for their dedication and painstaking work that forced the perpetrator to admit his guilt. We want to thank the Idaho State Police, the Moscow Police Department, the FBI, and Judge Hippler. We'd also like to thank the University of Idaho officials who have treated the families of the victims with such dignity and kindness, and who have honored the 4 victims beautifully. Maddie was my first grandchild, so when she was born, all her grandparents had the distinct pleasure of deciding what we'd like to be called. I chose Nana, pretty original. But when Maddie was about 1.5 years old, her papa, Ben's dad, and I were planning to visit the new little family in Oregon. Maddie didn't have an extensive vocabulary at the time, but for some unknown reason, she called bananas ba-deedle-deedles. When Karen and Ben told her Nana was coming to visit, she figured, I say deedle-deedle for that word. So I became deedle-deedle, shortened to Deedle when she was about 6 or 7, and I was Deedle all her life. I don't think her stepdad, Scotty, ever knew my given name was Kim. Maddie's and my birthdays were 1 day apart, and a couple years before she was killed, she gave me this necklace with Deedle and Maddie engraved on it, and I added an angel wing, and it's one of my treasured possessions. I also got an angel wing tattoo, never thought I'd see the day, but along with many members of our family, replicating the one that Maddie and her sorority sisters had. I wanted mine where I could see and touch it often. From preschool through grade school, I stopped teaching piano lessons early on Wednesdays and picked Maddie up for bubble baths, brownies, and books. It was our special time together, and she went home those nights in her jammies with a pan of warm brownies for her family. Although Karen and Scotty raised Maddie and did such a lovely job of parenting, we Mogens were lucky to have her for holidays and many other family gatherings. We'll always have our treasured memories of Maddie growing up in our big, extended, cooperative family, and I thank Karen and Scotty Laramie for being so generous and open and sharing Maddie with her Mogen side of the family. When the 4 kids were murdered, the foundation fell out of our world. Initially, the fear was truly debilitating. The first 6 weeks were excruciating. Despite the vigils, memorials, candlelight gatherings of students, friends, family, community members. After the arrest, in the past 2.5 years, my family has lived with grief, with the effects of traumatic grief, of which I was blissfully unaware before all of this. I now have a stack of books on grief. I've attended grief classes at hospice. I've tried EMDR, a technique that helps replace disturbing visions with something more comforting. My son Ben, his 2 sisters, Maddie's aunts, and I have all experienced depression and anxiety and sleep disturbance, requiring medical intervention at times. We've all sought counseling off and on. The struggle with media attention was extremely difficult, especially for Ben. No one should live through the violent murder of one's child. Some days it's beyond me how the parents of these kids are still upright. I'm thankful for the strong families and communities that are supporting the survivors. At the time, I could think of only 2 blessings surrounding the horrific murders. One was that Ben was living with my partner Tom and me at the time, and that we could support each other emotionally through it all. Sadly, Tom died a year ago of a rare brain cancer, and he won't be here to see justice served. He was our family's rock, and we all miss him every day. A second blessing is that my mother died of COVID several months before the kids were killed, and she didn't have to live through the horror. It was difficult to identify blessings. So we've all lost our dear child and a future with her. I ache for the loss of the dreams that she and her true love, Jake, held. And my heart goes out to Karen and Scotty and your side of Maddie's family. You've had more than your share of loss. My heart aches for the kids' roommates and the families of the other victims, and also the family of the perpetrator. Going forward, we Mogens are choosing to put our energy and focus into honoring Maddie's too short life and sweet spirit by celebrating Maddie May Day, which my 2 daughters established. On May 25th each year, Maddie's birthday, we encourage folks to do random acts of kindness in Maddie's name. In my daughter Katie's words, may we all protect our peace in whatever way possible, unite in community, and focus on joy. Please do an act in kindness in Maddie's honor during this week, so a glimmer of Maddie's light may live on. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate your courage, and bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Now is Ben Mogen, Maddie Mogen's father.
I'm Benjamin Mogen. I'm Maddie's dad. And first I just want to say thanks to all the people that helped bring this all to a close. I know it's not the resolution that everyone, wanted, but I think that that everyone worked so hard, and we really appreciate all their efforts. It was such a hard thing to go through for everybody. Maddie was my only child that I ever had. She's the only great thing I ever really did, and the only thing I was really ever proud of. And I thought we would have the rest of our lives together to be together and to know each other, and I took for granted the times, she was in college, and I thought, oh, well, we'll have the rest of our lives to do all the stuff that we're supposed to do, and she was just about done. She actually earned all of her credits for college degree, and Karen and Scotty and I got to go and get her diploma that she actually earned, and she deserved every bit of that. And but I thought that that was going to be just the beginning of a long life together, and we never got that. Karen and Scotty did such a great job raising her after Karen and I split up, and I'm so thankful for Scotty and the role that he played in her life when I wasn't able to. But we got to spend a lot of great times together, Maddie and I. She was my favorite person to go to a concert with. We got to see some fun shows together, and I told her, if there's ever a show that you want to go to, you let me know, and I'll get you tickets for you and your friend, or if we want to go together, we'll make it happen. And my favorite memory with her was when the Mac Miller show sold out here in Spokane, and everyone wanted tickets, no one could get them, and on the last day before the show, they did a radio thing, and I got 4 meet and greet tickets for Maddie and her friends and me to go and see the show, and that was her favorite artist at the time, was Mac Miller, and he's gone now too, and my little cousin Zach drove us all there that night, and he's gone too, tragically, and anyway, the last thing that she ever wrote to me was this Father's Day card, and I'm so glad I still have it. I'm just going to read what she said. It says, "Happy Father's Day. I hope you have the best day. I can't wait till we can hang out again soon. I'll be in Coeur d'Alene, 624 to 74. Hopefully we can find a time then. I love your birthday card that you sent me, by the way. Maybe we can see a concert sometime soon. I'd love to see the gorge when it's not so smoky out. I hope you're doing well. I'm proud of how far you've come. Thank you for always encouraging me to do my best. Love you lots and lots. Love, Maddie May." She did encourage me to not just to do my best, but to live on. I went through a lot of issues with addiction and with substance abuse, and when I wasn't wanting to live anymore, she was what would keep me from just not caring anymore, and knowing that she was out there and that she was just such a beautiful person kept me alive. A lot of rough moments, and I'm so glad that she was able to meet Jake. He was the only one that actually ever got to take her to the gorge. They went and saw Watershed together, and yeah, they had a heck of a time. I'm so glad she got to. That's a really special place for me, and she always wanted to work out there with me in the summer sometime. She never got to, but at least she got to see it once with Jake. He was such a great guy. He is such a great guy. And I really wanted to see what a future with them would have looked like. I'll never be able to replace her. I wrote a bunch of stuff. I just don't know what to say right now. I just miss her so much, and I just love her more than anything. And it shouldn't have happened. And a death sentence is one thing. You know when it's going to happen, and it's going to be all gentle and stuff. But life without parole, with a building full of people that all just want you to not be around anymore, and winking at every morning, not knowing if that's the day they're going to pull your card. I mean, it's not a very nice sentence either. So, I don't know. I just love you, Maddie, and I wish you were still here.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor, next would be members from the Kaylee Goncalves family. First will be her father, Steve Goncalves.
Today, we are here to finish what you started. Today, you've lost control. Today, we are here to prove to the world that you picked the wrong families. The wrong state, the wrong police officers, the wrong community. You tried to break our community apart. You tried to plant fear. You tried to divide us. You failed. Instead, your actions have united everyone in their disgust for you. I just learned from these lead investigators, to their shock, they worked in an investigation and actually worked with Pennsylvania police officers and the federal FBI. You united everyone. Everyone was united after you. None of us are divided. We are united in our disgust and our love for these children. Today you have no name. Because when this all started, we all came together and we said, let's stop even talking about his name and just use initials. So even the media just calls you BK. That's all you are. Looking back when the police officers knocked on my door, told me what happened to my child, told me what happened to Maddie Mae, I don't think he was even out of the driveway before my kids turned around and looked at me and said, what do we do, Dad? I told them, you get to work. You get your ass to work. And we started calling, we started texting, we started emailing. And you know what? Within hours, we had your white car on camera. We knew from the very beginning we had you. Police officers tell us within minutes they had your DNA, like a calling card. You were that careless, that foolish, that stupid. Master degree, you're a joke, complete joke. But we took this disaster and we did what we could. We put everything online. We took our kids, we took our images, we took everything that they did, their videos, their photos, the girls' pranks, Ethan singing. We put it out there, we shared it with the world. And the world united. And all they ended up, when they talked about this case, is they talked about Kaylee Jade, Maddie Mae, Zana, and Ethan. Everything what these people meant to us, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, we shared that with our community. Then we shared it with our state. We shared it with the country, and eventually we shared it with the world. The world's watching because of the kids, not because of you. Nobody cares about you. You're not worth the time, the effort to be remembered. In time, you will be nothing but two initials forgotten to the wind. No visitors, nothing more than initials on an otherwise unmarked tombstone. From this moment, we've all started. From this moment, we will forget you. We want to all leave in closing. One last thing. You picked the wrong family, and we're laughing at you on your trip to the pen. That will be today or tomorrow. I'll close with, God bless all the men and women that worked on this case and all the hard work that you guys did. You guys allowed us to grieve and allowed us to get through this. The amount of work that you guys put together and the way that you guys put it together was beautiful. There was hard times to be expected, but thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you.
Your Honor, next is Stephen Goncalves, Kaylee's brother.
Stephen's actually gonna pass. I'm gonna go.
Okay. Olivia Goncalves, Kaylee's sister.
Hello, I'd like to start by thanking the court for allowing me the time and opportunity to speak today. My name is Olivia, and I am the big sister of Kaylee Goncalves, and I was blessed to love Madison Mogen as a sister too. I'm not here today to speak in grief, I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be. Loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful. Because the truth about Kaylee and Maddie is they would have been kind to you. If you had approached them in their everyday lives, they would have given you directions, thanked you for the compliment, or awkwardly giggled to make your own words less uncomfortable for you. In a world that rejected you, they would have shown mercy. Because the truth is, I'm angry. Every day I'm angry. I'm left shouting at the inside of my own head everything I wish I could say to you. The truth about me is when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would. That I would fight for them, that I would show up, no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone. Because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they knew I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down, not for them, and not even death could change that. Somewhere along the line, I started to think about what I would say to them if I was given just one last chance. If I could gather enough heartbreak or love or sacrifice or whatever it took to get just one message across, what would I say? Throughout this entire process, I've written my feelings down at every moment, my wishes, my love, my denial, my anger. And as one final act of love, I'd planned to read these thoughts, even jarring and discombobulating and not even making sense. Because for me, that was true love. As bare and as naked as it could be, not laced in pretty words or dressed for the occasion, but written through bleary eyes at 2 a.m. with clenched fists, angry at this reality. My true final act of love was to continue on without them, for them. That dream to read aloud my love to them, to bring meaning through pain, was the latest blow in realizing you don't deserve it. And Kaylee and Maddie don't need it. Kaylee and Maddie have always known my love, and they would never ask me to prove it by further victimizing myself to a defendant who has shown no guilt, no remorse, no apprehension. They would say to me, "Why would you give the satisfaction of showing vulnerability now? You promised you would never back down." And for that clarity, I'm thankful. I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are: sociopath, psychopath, murderer. I will ask the questions that reverberate violently in my own head, so loudly that I can't think straight most any day. Some of these might be familiar, so sit up straight when I talk to you. How was your life right before you murdered my sisters? Did you prepare for the crime before leaving your apartment? Please detail what you were thinking and feeling at this time. Why did you choose my sisters? Before making your move, did you approach my sisters? Detail what you were thinking and feeling. Before leaving their home, is there anything else you did? How does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer is trying to be a rapper? Did you recently start shaving or manually pulling out your eyebrows? Why November 13th? Did you truly think your Amazon purchase was untraceable because you used a gift card? How do you find it enjoyable to stargaze with such a severe case of visual snow? Where is the murder weapon, the clothes you wore that night? What did you bring into the house with you? What was the second weapon you used on Kaylee? What were Kaylee's last words? Please describe in detail the level of anxiety you must have felt when you heard the Bearcat pull up to your family home on December 30th, 2022. Which do you regret more? Returning to the crime scene 5 hours later, or never, ever going back to Moscow, not even once, after stalking them there for months? If you were really smart, do you think you'd be here right now? What's it like needing this much attention just to feel real? You're terrified of being ordinary, aren't you? Do you feel anything at all? Or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. If you're so powerful, then why are you still hiding, defendant? You see, I'm here today as me. But who are you? Let's try to take off your mask and see. You didn't create devastation. You revealed it in yourself. And that darkness you carry, that emptiness, you'll sit with it long after this is over. That is your sentence. And it was written on the wall long before you ever pled guilty. You didn't win. You just exposed yourself as the coward you are. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else. Constantly scolding, turning your nose up to grammar mistakes, nitpicking and criticizing others. You wanted so badly to be different, to be special, to be better, to be deep, to be mysterious. You found yourself thinking you were better than everyone else, and you thought you could figure out the human psyche and see through it, all while tweaked out on heroin. Lurking in the shadows made you feel powerful because no one ever paid you any attention in the light. You thought you were exceptional, all because of a grade on a paper. You thought you were elite because your online IQ test from 2010 told you so. All of that effort just to seem important. It's desperate. There is a name for your condition, though. Your inflated ego just didn't allow you to see it. Wannabe. You act like no one could ever understand your mind, but the truth is you're basic. You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control. Your patterns are predictable. Your motives are shallow. You are not profound. You're pathetic. You aren't special or deep, not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again. No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister in a sheath. You work so hard to seem dangerous, but real control doesn't have to prove itself. The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Christy Goncalves, Kaylee Goncalves' mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. I never imagined having to speak to someone so devoid of humanity. For a long time, I didn't think I'd find the words low enough to meet you where you are. But now I realize this isn't about you. It's about what you've done to me, and I need you to hear it. When you murdered my daughter, Kaylee Jade Goncalves, you didn't just take her life, you shattered others. You attacked what you could never be, and in doing so, you left a trail of devastation far beyond that house. You stole my peace. You've altered my every waking moment, every sleepless night, The way I view the world, people, safety, trust, it's all been changed by your cruelty. I no longer recognize parts of myself. Joy is harder to find. Laughter feels foreign. The world moves forward, but I'm suspended in a place of sorrow and rage. You've taken from me something that can never be restored. The grief sits with me every day, some days quietly, and other days so loud it drowns out everything else. The emotional toll you've inflicted on me is immeasurable. I live with a constant ache, with birthdays that are now memorials, with holidays that feel hollow, with empty chairs that scream louder than words ever could. I am forever changed. But for you, as a person working on a PhD in criminal justice, you really didn't think this one through. You're not that good. In fact, you're not that good at anything. You couldn't secure a job. You couldn't get along with others. You couldn't even get a female to look in your direction, all because you are pathetic. Now you're a joke in this courtroom. I wish I could crown you with a jester hat to complete your orange jumpsuit clown look. A dead killer doesn't kill again. So while I'm disappointed the firing squad won't get to take their shots at you, I'm confident that the men in prison will have their way with you in more ways than one. You will finally get what you wanted, physical touch. Just probably not how you were expecting it. See, you haven't beat the system. You've simply entered a new one, where the rules are cruel and the consequences will never end. You are entering a place where no one will care who you are and no one will ever respect you. You will be forgotten, discarded, used, and erased. You will always be remembered as a loser, an absolute failure. And when those prison doors slam shut behind you, I hope that sound echoes in your heart for the rest of your meaningless days. I hope it reminds you of what we all already know. You're nothing. May you continue to live your life in misery. You are officially the property of the state of Idaho, where your fellow inmates are anxiously awaiting your arrival. But it's okay, because they're there to help you. Hell will be waiting. Quick message from our youngest daughter. Aubrey wanted to say, you may have received A's in high school and college, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison.
Thank you. Do we have more from the Goncalves family, or are you?
Yes, next would be Shannon Gray, the Goncalves family attorney. He'll be reading statements from Kaylee Goncalves' grandmothers.
Well,
Morning, Your Honor. Shannon Gray, the attorney for the Goncalves family. I actually have 3 statements, one from her aunt and 2 from her grandparents. This is from her aunt, Tammy Butts. You, in the cloak of darkness, made a decision to turn our whole family's world upside down forever. You, in the cloak of darkness, took our Kaylee J. Goncalves away from us all without hesitation. Never have you shown any remorse or regret. We just get creepy, non-expressive stares as you have your team of women defend you. Kaylee was a strong, kind, fun-loving, caring person, and she will greatly be missed by all her family and friends for the rest of our lives. She had goals in life that you took from her and us. We lose on watching her enjoying her life, working hard and building the future she wanted. She was ready to start that after college life. You, in the cloak of darkness, took it all away. You left us without her future wedding, her future children that she would have added to our family. No more talking to her on the phone, going for a coffee, celebrating holidays, it's all gone. You, in the cloak of darkness, gave each and every one of Kaylee's family members their own lifetime sentence. You and the cloak of darkness also took our Maddie Mae from all of us. She was so genuine, caring, polite. She was part of our family. You came in, harmed our children that were younger women than you in their own beds. You're nothing, you're a coward. It's not right that you have received life. I pray that you meet your end in the cloak of darkness, burn in hell. I have two other statements, Your Honor. This is Linda Lucan's statement. This is Kaylee's grandmother. I really don't know how to address something so inhumane, but I will try. Nothing in the past 2.5 years has made any sense. All I get is you cowardly went into a home at night, filled with what I'm sure you thought was all sleeping girls, and went on a vicious killing spree for no other reason but to appease your demonic urges. You took my granddaughter Kaylee from us, plus 3 other beautiful lives. You took my granddaughter Kaylee, beautiful, sweet-souled, doll-faced Kaylee, who was getting ready to start her amazing life, who had such a bright future, who was loved by so many, who you were so envious of. She had a life you could never have. You are so beyond human. You're definitely a demon from hell. I truly wish your punishment would be the same death you inflicted on our kids. But I think you will meet some new friends in prison who will be there just to help you. Thumbs up. And I have one last statement, Your Honor. This is from Cheryl Goncalves, Kaylee's other grandmother. John 1:5 says, light shines in the darkness, and the darkness overcomes it not. Somewhere in your life, some jealousy, envy, ego, something went dark. It pushed out all light until you became dark and evil. And when you saw my granddaughter and her friends, their light, because they have such a light, you couldn't stand it. Because the darkness in you could not stand the light in them. And so you decided to destroy it. Cowardly, you walked into their rooms in the dark and took their lives, hoping to get rid of your darkness. But you didn't. You failed. Because you know what was once a light shown only to their friends, families, and loved ones is now all over the world. Everyone sees it. Their smile, their beauty, their plans, everything they were and had. And you think you put a close to it, even that, but you didn't. Because they still exist. They are still light. They are still beautiful. You can never take that away. They will always be in the light of all eternity. And you will be in the darkness because you could not overcome it. You failed. I want you to be gone, more than gone. I want you to be cast out. Cast out from my life, from my family, from this earth. I will not allow your hatred to penetrate into my own soul. You did not get that power. You are evil, and in the end, evil is eradicated. You didn't take Kaylee's light, you spread it into the world. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, if the are you moving to a different family now? All right, why don't we take a 10-minute recess, all right? Be seated. All right, Ms. Jennings.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next family is the family of Zana Kernodle, and first would be Jasmine Kernodle, Zana's sister.
Thank you to everyone who's been involved in this and just for all the hard work and dedication you guys have put into this. I also want to thank everyone for the support and just my family and friends who've been around through this time. I went back and forth on whether to speak today because the truth is you don't deserve power over my feelings, my words, or me.
Thank you. In the end, I realized this moment isn't about you. It's about justice for Zana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie. It's about honoring the beautiful people they were and still are in God's eyes. On November 13th, 2022, a piece of my heart was ripped away. There's no way to ever fully describe the weight of losing my sister, my best friend. No sentence or punishment will ever come close to the justice Zana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie deserve. Zana was everyone's best friend. She was kind, she was funny. She was a gift to each person she was able to make an impact on. Zana was someone I turned to when I needed direction or advice. Although I am her older sister, I often found myself looking up to her. She had a radiant energy that everyone loved, and she always knew the right way to approach a problem. She knew how precious and special life was, and she truly did live every day to the fullest. Yet her story was cut short by an act of evil. I believe in a God whose justice is not bound by this courtroom. I find peace knowing that judgment ultimately belongs to Him. For your sake, I hope one day you feel the full weight of what you did. I hope you take accountability. I hope you truly experience the guilt and you surrender yourself to Jesus Christ. Because no punishment on this earth can ever compare to the isolation and pain of eternal separation from God. Zana deserved more. They all did. But I come here to say this. I am strong. I am brave. I'm a fighter, just like Zana. And you don't get to control how I move forward or what I believe. I walk with the comfort of knowing I will see my sister again. Zana didn't get the future she deserved. She won't be the maid of honor at my wedding, the cool aunt to my future children. I'll never hear her laugh or see her light up a room ever again. But I will carry her with me for the rest of my life. I will live in her honor, fight to be the best kind of woman and someone she's proud of, to make sure the world never forgets who she was. Zana's story doesn't end with what was taken from her. It lives through the love she gave, the people she touched, and the legacy our family will protect. Her light still shines, and her voice will echo louder than this pain. You didn't take that from us, and you never will.
Thank you.
I just want to say before I start, I'm Zana's dad, Jeff Kernodle. It's been a hard road down, because she's gone. And I want to thank everybody, other their families that's speaking so far, spoke about things. I agree with everything they have to say. It all comes back to a lot of the same things that I've had to deal with and we as a family have had to deal with. And that brings me basis of what I'm talking about a little bit is on my way up here, flying up here in the plane, and about halfway through the flight, this little girl is calling out for her dad. Hey, dad, 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 and then in my mind, I was kind of half asleep. It's dark on the plane. I heard Zana calling out for me like she did, back when she was little, 5 years old. And those times were hard. It was chaotic, but we always had something to work toward that was in a positive direction, compared to right now, which is necessarily not as positive as that for sure. And I know I miss Zana a lot. My life's been changed, and Zana had a great impact on me. And the impact was when she was gone, I realized how important she was and what she really did for me, influenced me, was way beyond what I ever thought. She'd call me up on the weekends, check on me, see who's with me. She's like accountability to your youngest daughter. And that really made a big difference. It made me really think about things and what it's all about, That's the things that I miss the most, is those calls on the weekends, the calls at 11 at night. What's going on? You want to meet my friend? Whoever she's with, a couple of her friends, I can meet them, talk to them. And she always did that. And it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I really miss that. And she made a big impact on me, on other people, her family. But the impact that she made is so extensive on what happened here. And it goes so far. People from everywhere in the world, are following things, and Zana has made a difference in their lives. So, countless people told me that. They might not even know her. They never knew anything about her. It's what they see, and they just love her and say how they wish she could have been their friend. Could have been their friend, could have hung out, and it's like, this is a blessing, this is the whole kid was, and definitely was a big blessing in my life, and so is Jasmine, and basically, we worked hard to do the things we did, through the times they were growing up, and through those times, I realized that I wanted both of them to graduate college, and that'd be the ultimate thing for them to do to prepare for the world. Then it came back to me, Zana didn't get to finish college. He had it all figured out. And this all just came back to me when I was there, and that little girl was on the plane doing that. It's like where I was going, what I was going here for. And then I just realized and thought to myself about the wonderful life that she had and we had together. And I still get to have with Jasmine, but that's the part that really counted. It's the part that really counted, is those memories. And those are what I have left, the memories with her and the ones I can make with her, and the life that I can go on with now, which is what she wants. And I say that in present tense because that's what she wants, because I've been told that, I've had countless ways that she's out there and has a way to communicate, which I'm very grateful for. That goes to say that the impact of what happened to them, all 4 kids, goes so much further than just not me, the parents, the families, the community. It goes so far because a lot of kids, in the colleges, just for an example, they lock their doors now. The door wasn't locked in the back.
Penn State or wherever it was, all the colleges, I know that I've heard, they all lock their doors now. So maybe the impact that it's gonna make is gonna help out and maybe protect some people. Having this outreach and having the influence of what happened to these kids did, all I know is I was 7 miles away when it happened, and she wasn't feeling that good. It was 11:30, and I almost went over to Susanna's to say, and I would have been sitting right there in that couch, and you had to deal with me. So they would have had a chance, and I regret that, and I regret not going. But the reason why I didn't is because Zana said, "Don't be drinking and driving. You got the rental car. Don't be drinking and driving." The week before that, so she was she would have been mad at me to do that. But I really wish I would have drunk and drove, because they would have had a chance, all four of them. At this point, I just have to go on. We're gonna go on with everything and make things better in my life, because that's what it's all about. If I have closure in things, and the part that we miss is Zana, her influence, her smile, the things that she did, and we have the memories left, the great memories, and she just wants us to make more memories and not be sad or upset or shocked or taken for that, and that's what we're gonna do. We just have to. That's all I got.
Thank you for your words and your courage, and bless your family.
Next, Kim Kernodle would like to address the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Kim Kernodle. I am Zana's aunt. I was very blessed to have her in my life, in our family. And I thought I had everything in my head, what I wanted to say, but it kind of went out. And I'm always looking for the positive thing, because evil, hate can destroy people. And that's what it started doing with our family. It created anger with our family members. And then I had to look, because Zana was everything that the media, her friends said. She was that fun, loving, high-spirited, beautiful person. And I no longer get to get my nails done with her, have lunch with her. Sorry. But how I look at it now is this tragedy, this horrible tragedy on all of the 4 children, has brought us closer. You united us with your actions. We're united now, and we're stronger than ever. We have family and friends now that we never knew we had. And, this is probably going to bother everybody, but Bryan, I'm here today to tell you I have forgiven you, because I no longer could live with that hate in my heart. And for me to become a better person, I have forgiven you. And anytime you want to talk and tell me what happened, get my number. I'm here, no judgment, because I do have answers or questions that I want you to answer. And I'm here. I'll be that one that'll listen to you, okay? Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
My name is Stratton Kernodle, and I'm Xana's uncle, Jeff's brother. Sitting here today listening to the stories and feelings and feeling the pain from everybody is a pretty powerful thing. It's each time a statement was read, it sort of would tug into my center core as I felt everybody's anguish. And Zana meant a lot to us, and we loved her very much. But I started thinking about, instead of rehashing everything that everybody else has talked about, I wanted to direct it another direction toward Bryan and what he's done to his family, his parents, his siblings, his friends, his universe. He has contaminated, tainted their family name, and pretty much made a horrible, miserable thing to be ever related to him. And I know that that's what he has to live with, and that has to be his pain. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, I believe Randy Davis, stepfather to Zana Kernodle, would like to address the court.
Hi, my name's Randy, stepdad of Zana. I just feel the same way we all do. All of us are united because of something that happened, and I am grateful to know and have met some new family because of this awful event. But this is probably the last time we're all going to be in the same room together, let's be real. So I can say, I love you all, and I feel your pain. And just God bless us all, you know? Just get through it. I had stuff wrote up. It was probably best I didn't read it out. Probably get kicked out of here, so. You know, I'll share one thing to you guys, not to you, with Zana. So I was working in North Dakota and came home, and Jazzy and Zana had taken our son Elijah and put him in a dress, makeup, and it was awful, you know. I was like, I don't know. She was funny. I told her she'd be in the movies and be somebody great one day like that. And now she is just above us as an angel with all the other beautiful kids. So let's hold that to our hearts, because this evil thing is not going to take nothing from us. You, man, I don't know what my limits are here, but I'm really struggling, dude. I am struggling, so I want to just be out in the woods with you just so I can teach you about loss and pain. I love God. I wouldn't take your life. That's up to him. But I guarantee you, you are weak. God, I would just give a moment, man, 5 minutes out in the woods. Oh, man. Ooh. You're going to go to hell. I know people believe in other stuff. You're evil. There's no place for you in heaven. You took our children. You are going to suffer, man. I'm shaking because I want to reach out to you, but I hope you feel my energy, okay? Go to hell.
Next is Kara Northington, Zana's mother.
I'm Kara Northington. I am Zana Kernodle's mother.
This letter is to you, really. But it is for my daughter, who was murdered by you. Today I stand before you, the man who is responsible for murdering my beautiful daughter, Zana Kernodle. My daughter was beautiful both inside and out. She possessed love for those around her and had a light so bright it will live on forever in our hearts. She brought joy and laughter to her friends, her family, and anyone in her presence. Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, now has her in his loving arms in heaven, where she can never be harmed ever again for eternity. Because of her, I came to know my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Because of her, many will come to Christ. It is Christ who lives in me that has given me the strength to forgive you. It was of no power of my own. In return, the Lord has filled me with joy, hope, and peace that surpasses all understanding. Jesus has allowed me to forgive you for murdering my daughter without you even being sorry or asking for this. This is only possible because he who lives in me is greater than any evil in this world. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I do not fear you or even let you rent space in my head anymore. This forgiveness has released me from any and all evil you have inflicted on me and my family. It has allowed me to let our Lord deal with you. You have accepted a deal that will prevent you from receiving the death penalty. Nothing man can do to you can ever compare to the wrath of God. Inevitably, you will stand before our Lord and will have to answer to him over the sins you have committed in murdering our children. I pray you come to the end of yourself before that day. Whether you like it or not, heaven is for real, and so is hell. The innocent life of Zana that you stole from myself and my family, and the destruction of this, and the destruction it has caused, I am washing my hands of you and turning you over to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, whom vengeance belongs to. In closing, I want to read a passage from the Bible, Ephesians 6, King James Version. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and then in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, that ye may be able to stand in the evil day. I'm not going to share memories of Zana or any more of the goodness of her with you, because I do not want that to be in your head. I don't want it to be in your head. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve our good memories that we have. I do pray for you. I pray that you come to the end of yourself. I pray that before this life is over, that you ask our Lord and Savior in your heart and to forgive you. I do pray for that. But after today, I wash my hands of you, and you are no longer a thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe the state has any other victim impact statements.
Okay. Right, state can argue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just as a housekeeping matter to start, there will be the issue of restitution. That is, the documentation is being gathered, and we ask the court would defer that for 30 days so we can present it in an orderly fashion and make sure it's comprehensive for everyone.
Any objection to leaving restitution open in 60 days? All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think it's necessary and appropriate to share, including the court, the background that brings us in front of Your Honor today for these proceedings. As the record reflects, and as everybody in this courtroom knows, the defendant has pleaded guilty to all 5 counts charged in the indictment. Under oath before Your Honor, he has admitted that the charges against him are true. He has reassured the court that he has not been coerced or threatened to make those admissions. And Your Honor did an extraordinary job in taking the pleas back on July 2nd. We appreciate the court's discipline and insight. The defendant has also waived appeal on the multitude of rulings from this court and Your Honor's predecessor in Latah County on dozens, literally dozens of motions seeking to dismiss the case, seeking to control or limit evidence, seeking to offer evidence that would not be appropriate. And we appreciate the court's consistent rulings based on the law, based on the facts. As Your Honor will recall, on June 18th, it's just really not that long ago, we appeared before this court for arguments on what became the defendant's final motions to this court. Motion where they wanted to offer evidence suggesting that other people were responsible for the defendant's actions, and the motion seeking essentially an indefinite continuance of the trial. It was readily apparent to all of us in the courtroom from Your Honor's comments that those motions were not going to be granted. So we returned to Moscow and continued with what we had been working on for months in preparation for trial. We had no qualms about going to trial if trial was what was necessary and appropriate. The following week after we were in court, we were approached by the defense with an inquiry about a possible plea. And I can tell the court this is the first suggestion ever that there was any consideration, because indeed, the defense had maintained from the beginning that Mr. Kohberger, the defendant, was factually innocent. It's clear that the reality of the evidence and the case that had been investigated and prepared and that we were ready to present in court became a reality. Our reaction, among other things, was to reach out to all the families. And in fact, later that week, on Thursday and Friday of that last week of June, we met with representatives by teams, virtual meetings, with representatives of all the families. And we talked about the status of the case, and the upcoming trial and things that related to the trial. And we also let them know that there had been an inquiry about whether there might be an offer for a plea. And we asked the family members for their thoughts and feelings. And they were candid. And they have been candid since, and we respect that. And we understand, recognize, and acknowledge that there was a difference of opinion among representatives of the different families. We understand that. One of the challenges of this case, one of the unique things about this case is we have multiple victims, each unique unto themselves, their families and friends unique unto themselves, and all of them entitled to their opinions, all of them entitled to their thoughts. Over the following weekend, our prosecution team, very skilled attorneys who were personally as well as professionally deeply invested in this case, met. And we talked, and the decision was reached. Well, to start with, were there to be any sort of plea offer or discussion, there's only one possibility. And that would be for the defendant to plead guilty straight up to all charges. There would be no bargaining about counts. There would be no bargaining about reduced sentences. And so we made the proposal to the defense that if the defendant was willing to plead guilty up front to all 5 counts as charged and waive appeal of the court's myriad decisions during the past 2.5+ years on all these motions that would have consumed years, if not decades, of time in the future. By the end of the weekend, we were notified the defendant was prepared to plead guilty as charged and factually acknowledge his responsibility in court for these horrible crimes. Obviously, those discussions and negotiations were confidential. And as Your Honor noted, I believe that was necessarily so, because if the defendant had decided not to plead guilty, it would have been devastating to our jury pool for there to be public information that there had been consideration by either party to a plea resolution. And protecting the prospective integrity of the trial after so many years was paramount. So, the end of the weekend came. We notified the victims' families of what had occurred. I recognize and acknowledge personally, and I respect the fact that of these fine, suffering people here, not everybody agreed with the decision we make. I accept that. It's my responsibility in the end. I recognize that that's the duty of the office that I hold. So now, it is time for the judicial system to impose final judgment and close the door on this chapter of these tragedies. As the court is aware, by the agreement of the parties, it is the state's prayer. Perhaps have the Elmo police turned on. Thank you. That on count 1, the felony burglary, that the court sentenced the defendant to the maximum period of 10 years fixed in the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. Then on count 2, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Maddie Mogen. On count 3, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Kaylee Goncalves. On count 4, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Zana Kernodle. On count 5, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Ethan Chapin. And the state further prays that these sentences be ordered to run consecutively, back to back, not at the same time, to recognize and respect the unique individuality of each of these beautiful young people whose lives were taken brutally and for no reason. And hopefully now, as we have heard earlier this morning, it is time to afford the families and the friends and the community and the state of Idaho and the nation and the world to move forward. We can't undo, and we can never undo, the horror of what occurred on the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022 at 1122 King Street in Moscow, Idaho. For a long time, the presiding district judge in Latah County was John Stegner, who eventually became a member and a justice of the Idaho Supreme Court. And Justice Stegner often observed that even God cannot change the past. But everyone in this room has the ability to take themselves forward. And we want the judicial system to afford them the opportunity today to do that. From today forward, our memories should be focused on these innocent victims whose lives were taken, on their families, on their friends, on the community. The court has heard discussion, talk today, reminiscences today about a special family that our victims shared, not just their natural, legal, and biological families, not just their university family within their sororities, for example. But this family. This is the picture taken on November 12th, 2022, of the special family of 1122 King Road. And you can see all 6 of these dynamic, vibrant, loving, special, innocent faces taken together just across the street from their residence, and barely 12 hours before 4 of them would be brutally murdered in their sleep. They've been described consistently as being bright, caring, vivacious, with futures we can only imagine now. But they were, and they remain, a special family that I think we should all recognize and appreciate. So it's time to move forward. There have been a number of statements directed specifically at the defendant today, I have one last thought. After Your Honor imposes judgment and sentences the defendant to spend the rest of his life in prison, in other words, sentence the defendant to die in prison, he's going to stand up in the belly chains and leg irons that he's wearing today, and he's going to be escorted into the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. And the door will close behind him forever. That is the closure that we seek, that all of these people, these loving friends and family deserve, so that we can move forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, does the defense have evidence to present today? All right. Does defense wish to make argument today?
Your Honor, we do not wish to make arguments. Mr. Kohberger, along with his legal team, is prepared for the court to enter judgment.
All right, Mr. Kohberger, you have an opportunity to make a statement if you wish to. I take it you are declining.
I respectfully decline.
Well, please. All right, let me start this morning by acknowledging and thanking those that have come here today in support of their loved ones, and I appreciate your courage and your strength. And I hope that you are able to move on as best as possible. Thank counsel for the professionalism that they've exhibited throughout this case. It has been my great honor to preside in this case and to help bring, to the extent possible, some resolution and hopefully justice to this case. During the quiet morning hours of November 13, 2022, a faceless coward breached the tranquility of 6 beautiful young people and senselessly slaughtered them, 4 of them. Who committed this unspeakable evil was unknown for several weeks, but due to the killer's incompetence and outstanding police work by numerous local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, the person that slithered through that sliding glass door at 1122 King Road now stands before the world and this court unmasked. This unfathomable and senseless act of evil has caused immeasurable pain and loss. No parent should ever have to bury their child. This is the greatest tragedy that can be inflicted upon a person. Parents who took their children to college in a truck filled with moving boxes had to bring them home in hearses lined with coffins. The loss this killer inflicted was not just the death of these people's children, siblings, grandchildren, as we've heard today. It has ripped a hole in their soul, destroying a special part of their very essence. Any person who is a parent defines themselves foremost as such. It is their existence and purpose of being. And it has been stolen from these parents. None of us have experienced the loss these victims have in the unspeakable way that they have. And therefore, none of us can, nor should we, question the way in which they have handled their loss. Whether that be in private mourning, removed as far as possible from this media circus, or in front of a camera demanding retribution with the loudest megaphone. I've listened intently to the stories and pain that have been shared today, with great awe at the courage and resilience of the surviving family members of those wonderful children. I've listened also to the surviving roommates, both in person and through their friends. And I can't think of how, frankly, courageous they have been despite the hell that they have faced by uncaring people who have come up with all kinds of crazy theories about two kids simply being kids. The parents, siblings, and other family members who have spoken today are designated as victims in our legal system. But going forward, I hope that they can shed that label, as it gives too much power to the evil that condemned them to that role. They are and should be known as survivors, fighters, and foremost as witnesses to the tremendous lives of value and unbounded promise of these four young people. But those speaking today and those who did not speak, but who carry this same burden, this same loss, now carry forward the memories of these now perpetually young people, these forever children. These survivors carry the responsibility of ensuring that the voices of these children, Maddie, Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan, are never forgotten, and the positive impacts that they have had on so many lives are never minimized, and that the love they shared, the light that they shined onto others is forever celebrated. As we sit here today, this case is ending, and we are now certain who committed these unspeakable acts of evil, but we don't know, and what we may never know is why. I share the desire expressed by others to understand the why. But upon reflection, it seems to me, and this is just my own opinion, that by continuing to focus on why, we continue to give Mr. Kohberger relevance. We give him agency and we give him power. The need to know what is inherently not understandable makes us dependent upon the defendant to provide us with a reason, and that gives him the spotlight, the attention, and the power he appears to crave. Yet even if I could force him to speak, which legally I cannot, how could anyone ever be assured that what he speaks is the truth? Do we really believe, after all of this, he's capable of speaking the truth or of giving up something of himself to help the very people whose lives he destroyed? Rather, I suspect the so-called reason would be dished out in enticing, self-serving, and aggrandizing untruthful bits, leaving people wanting more information, more insight, and thus enhancing even further the power he seeks to hold. Even if we could get truthful insight into his why, I suspect it would not in any way quench one's thirst for actually understanding why in the first instance. Because there is no reason for these crimes that could approach anything resembling rationality. No conceivable reason could make any sense. And in the end, the more we struggle to seek explanation for the unexplainable, the more we try to extract a reason, the more power and control we give to him. In my view, the time has now come to end Mr. Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame. It's time that he be consigned to the ignominy and isolation of perpetual incarceration. I know there has been concern about him collaborating on books or movies or other media projects, and I truly hope that someone does not stoop to affording him this spotlight that he desires in the name of clicks, royalties, or profits. While criminal behavioralists should study him away from the spotlight in an attempt to prevent other would-be killers from acting on their worst impulses, There should be no need for that to spill over into the public eye. The great Idaho jurist Edward Lodge was known for trying to find something positive about every person he ever sentenced. And with over a half a century as a trial judge, that was a lot of people. This was often challenging, and I recall in one case he said that the best he could come up with was the defendant had good penmanship. Truth be told, I'm unable to come up with anything redeeming about Mr. Kohberger because his grotesque acts of evil have buried and hidden anything that might have been good or intrinsically human about him. His actions have made him the worst of the worst. Even in pleading guilty, he is giving nothing hinting of remorse or redemption, nothing suggesting even a recognition or understanding, let alone regret for the pain that he has caused. And therefore, I will not attempt to speak about him further, other than to simply sentence him so that he is forever removed from civilized society. And accordingly, based upon his conduct and based upon the record before this court, recognizing the standards that govern this court's sentencing decisions as set forth in State v. Toohill, I hereby sentence Mr. Kohberger as follows. On count 1, burglary, 10 years fixed, 0 years indeterminate. I also impose a fine of $50,000. Count 2, first-degree murder of Madison Mogen. I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 3, for first-degree murder of Kaylee Goncalves, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the victim of the family, or to the family of the victim, pardon me. On count 4, for the first-degree murder of Zana Kernodle, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 5, for the first-degree murder of Ethan Chapin, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. The sentences on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 shall run consecutively to one another. Restitution will be left open for 60 days. Defendant will be required to submit a DNA sample and a right thumb print impression to the Department of Corrections and comply with the DNA Database Act. I remand the defendant to the custody of the Idaho State Board of Corrections for to be imprisoned in an appropriate facility in execution of the sentence where he will remain until he dies. Though you have waived your right to appeal, you do have a right to file a notice of appeal, and any such appeal must be filed within 42 days of the date of the written judgment, which will be entered shortly hereafter. Though the appeal, you should be aware, may be deemed a violation of the plea agreement, and so I certainly suggest you discuss that with counsel if that is your desire. I ask the media and public present to allow the families to be escorted out first before they leave. Again, thank you to everyone for your stories today. I am strengthened by them, and I am encouraged by your humanity and strength, and God bless you. We're adjourned.